that ultimately the totality is embraced. So it's an intellectual process of thinking and articulation, as a result of which different points of view are presented and ultimately you are transported into a point of view of totality. Even this is not enough in philosophy. When I speak of totality, I have already spoken a lot. That is to say, totality consists of large tracts of facts. In fact, all tracts of facts. Totality is all tracts of facts. And normally when we see around all of us, there are two basic tracts of facts. There are physical facts and psychological facts. Therefore, philosophy must deal with the tracts of physical facts and psychological facts. So a philosophical statement is not a philosophical statement unless it deals with totality of facts which are covered under two major domains, the physical facts and psychological facts. And you go further. You relate them. The totality is arrived only when relationship is established. You relate all kinds of facts. And while relating, you constantly try to be as total as possible. This is a speciality of philosophical thinking. Because human mind cannot grasp totality at once. So, as it goes on collecting the facts, there is a constant effort at totality. And we ask, is anything left out? Is everything covered in it? Are all the facts covered? And in the discovery of all the facts, something emerges. And this is a speciality of philosophical thought. You arrive at a concept of essence. That is to say, you ask yourself, is it possible to find out among all the facts something that is essential? Now, this concept of essentiality is extremely important in philosophy. This question of essentiality is asked fundamentally in philosophy. Along with this idea of essentiality and connected with it is the question of ultimate? Is there something that is essential? Is there something that is ultimate? It's a search of essence, search of ultimate. There is a further qualification of philosophical thought. It cannot assume essence, cannot assume ultimate. It is said philosophy is a process of thinking in which nothing is assumed. In every other thinking process, presuppositions are allowed. You assume this is true, then the other processes can start. In philosophy, there are no presuppositions allowed. You can question right up to any particular point of view that you can think of. You may try to arrive at essence, but you cannot say there must be an essence. Unless you are thrown back upon it. Even when you do not want to assume, you are led to it. Unless this happens, you cannot assume it. You cannot assume there must be an ultimate. Ultimate may exist, may not exist. You arrive at an ultimate only if you are obliged. Having cut off all presuppositions, you are obliged to come to an ultimate. Then only it is allowed. There is in philosophy a very important concept which is called incorrigibility. What is incorrigibility? In all processes of thinking, in all processes of articulation, in all forms, you can do better. You can correct it. In incorrigibility, you arrive at a point which does not allow any correction at all. It is the final incorrigible statement. Even if you want to doubt it, the very doubt itself presupposes it. That is incorrigibility. Therefore, in philosophy, you arrive at the essence, at the ultimate, only if it is found to be incorrigible. You can't help it. It has got to be. So, philosophical thought is an attempt to relate physical facts, psychological facts, and all of them, totality of all of them. In doing so, you are obliged to discover the essence and the ultimate up to such a point that ultimate or essence is incorrigible. Arrival at the incorrigible ultimate and essence of all things in which all the things stand together, related together. Now, final point about it, still one more point. Having done it, you find the significance of everything. This word significance is very important. Significance is the beginning of philosophy and the end of philosophy. What is the meaning of the word significance? The meaning of significance is, negatively speaking, it is not arbitrary. Something is significant when it's not arbitrary. What is something arbitrary? Arbitrary is trifle, trivial. It could be one way, it could be other way. As against it, what philosophy strives to understand is, what is significance of anything that is in question? Unless you arrive at the conclusion of significance, you have not completed your philosophical thought. In fact, the starting point of philosophy is a search of significance. In fact, that is the meaning of the word rationality. Philosophy is the highest rational process, intellectual process. And intellectuality and rationality basically is a search of reason. When we say it is a rational process, it's a search for reason. And what's the meaning of reason? Reason is a search for reason, in the sense it is search for avoiding any arbitrariness. If things were all arbitrary in the world, there is no ground for philosophy at all. Philosophical thought starts by asking what is the significance of it? What's the reason for it? Philosophy is basically a search of reason. It's a rational search of reason itself. It's the ultimate search of the reason, the final point of reason, beyond which you know there is nothing beyond it because it is the final one. You arrive at the conclusion, it is the final one. And you can be sure of its finality, certainty. To derive the significance of anything, of all the facts of any fact, any physical fact, any psychological fact, to derive the significance of it, after considering everything, without any presupposition whatsoever, arriving at the final essence and ultimate, and to arrive at a judgment, this is the significance of it. Any endeavor which includes all this is philosophy. Now this is all that is contained in the Life Divine. Is a statement of all the physical and psychological facts. Not in all their processes, because that is not the fundamental purpose of philosophy. But in all their essential significance. In the light of anything that may be an ultimate. Niru, you can come here, huh? Whenever we start any study, our aim is to arrive at knowledge. We want to know. If at the reading of the Life Divine, if I don't attain any knowledge at all, then there is no profit out of it. The Life Divine is a supreme book of knowledge presented in intellectual terms, in philosophical terms. In which, from the point of view of totality, we shall intellectually be convinced of what is most significant. To begin with, today, if anybody says, what is most significant? You may not be able to answer this question just now. But if you read this Life Divine, intellectually be convinced this is the highest significant thing, the most significant thing, of which there is no intellectual doubt possible. This is the promise of the Life Divine. The reason why I refer to the Life Divine and why it should be present to the whole world, it is because mankind today is extremely confused. It has come to a stage of development where it has got to find an answer to this question: what is most significant? Without any doubt whatsoever. This is the real search of the contemporary humanity. And this is the question which is answered here in this book. And that's why it is so important to turn to it. There are two very important words used in the Bhagavad Gita. Jnanena savijnanena saha. Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, I will give you the answer to your question in the light of knowledge and in the light of all knowledge. Totality. Now, why was Sri Krishna obliged to go to the totality of everything in order to answer a question of Arjuna on the battlefield? Because the question that he had raised was of such a nature that was inevitable. Sri Krishna could not have answered the question in a few minutes' time. It was such a question in which everything had to be told in all totality. Now, such is Arjuna's question is symbolic of mankind today. What was true of Arjuna at that time is true today of a large humanity. We all have become Arjunas today. We all are facing the question on a large scale today. That's why the significance of the Gita even today. As Sri Aurobindo said, the colloquy between Arjuna and Sri Krishna on the battlefield